So the pandemic screwed everything up in real estate. 2020, 2021, everything just got thrown out the window from what we knew, right? And so what we're running into now is that expectations kind of need to change when it comes to buyers and sellers. So today we're going to talk through 3 expectations that need to change in real estate. What's up, guys? It's Mark Cannon, local realtor here in the Phoenix area, and today we're talking through how expectations in real estate need to change. But before we get into any of that, I would really appreciate if you could like the video. It helps me out. If you want to share it with your friends, subscribe, that'd be great. I'm here to be a resource, not trying to be famous, just trying to give information so that way people can make the best decisions possible. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so before we go over those 3 things, let's get a little bit of background, right? So 2020, 2021, it was just nuts. And housing values skyrocketed, right? If you bought a house in 2019, 2020, your house was probably worth $100K more by 2021. And people didn't know what to do. So you had people that had bought a house and within the first year or 2 of owning it, they ended up selling it for a major profit and buying something better. And so that's where we're talking about expectations, because people are kind of expecting that stuff right now. And so we're going to talk through the 3 things that you need to kind of change when it comes to expectations with real estate. Okay, so the first expectation that needs to change is equity growth. Now, what do I mean by that? So everybody kind of got used to, you bought a home 2017, 2018, 2019, you just sold your home for $200K more than you paid for it. That cannot be the expectation moving forward. Now, does that mean that the market's not going to grow? No, I don't mean that. They're estimating right now that over the next several years, we're going to see equity growth of 1 to 3% every year. And listen, that is an estimate. No one knows. It could be higher. You might break even that year, but we're not going to see the major growth numbers where, you grew 100%, 50%, 30%. We're not going to see that, at least not from what we can tell. So it's one of those that we need to go back to reality of like what it used to be. Home equity growth used to be somewhere between 1 to 3%. And that's kind of what we got to expect moving forward. So the second expectation that needs to change is home ownership length. And this ties into the first one. If equity growth isn't going to be as fast, right? I mean, you bought a home several years ago, like we talked about, you had major home equity growth. If we're going to see 1 to 3%, it's going to take longer to gain more equity in your home. So let's say that's the case. We're only growing 1 to 3% for the next 5, 10 years or whatever. It's going to take longer to gain $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 in equity. So a lot of people were thinking, oh man, I might be able to sell. I might be able to buy in the next 2, 3 years. I wouldn't expect that. I would expect that it's going to take 5 to 10 years. Now, the average right now in Phoenix is around 8 years. That's about how often everybody moves. It's about 7 to 8 years. So for me, I'm telling people, hey, you need to expect to live in that home anywhere from 5 to 8 years. And if equity grows faster, maybe you can sell it faster. That's where we have to start changing that expectation. It's not going to be 2 years. It's going to be longer than that. Okay, so the third expectation that needs to change is your new home expectations. Now, what do I mean by that? So a lot of people, when they were making tons of equity on their homes, they were just going and buying move-in ready homes that were just immaculate. They would never have to touch anything. If we're not going to be making as much equity on our homes, maybe we can't expect that either, especially if prices are going to stay higher and they're not just going to crash, which go watch my other videos. It doesn't seem it's going to be happening. We might see some ebbs and flows, but that's normal with real estate. But if interest rates also aren't going to come down, which, guys, we can't expect 3% anytime soon because interest rates are going to stay higher. And so it's one of those that with that, maybe we should be looking at buying homes that we can make better over time. So I have a client right now that's doing that where they're like, listen, we're going to change the carpets out. We're going to put some new flooring in there. We're going to change the countertops out. It's going to look way better. And it will. Their house will look way better when they redo that stuff. And it's one of those that we need to look at things that you can do over time. If you're going to live in a house 5 to 8 years, okay, over time we're going to budget. We're going to replace these things. We're going to make it look better. And that way, when you do eventually go to sell it, you can make more money on it because you've made the house look better. And that's where we have to change the expectation. Now, listen, again, if you can afford a fully immaculate house, go do it. Buy it. Great. But maybe we do have to change that expectation. Guys, if you're thinking about buying or even selling, I would love to talk with you about it. Just be able to talk through your different options and what is best for you. My information is below. It's in the description. Reach out to me. I would love to talk with you. Guys, you've been listening to The Real.